Welcome back to another Common Good Radio show brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I am Pastor John McClain here with, no Andreas Ruiz. He is, like usual, I think probably at least once a month he's going to be away because he's out teaching the children about mental health and the different things that they can do, different tools they can put in their toolbox to make sure that they take care of themselves and they succeed in all the possible ways that they possibly can, including making sure that they do that self-care that is starting to become very popular. I definitely make sure I do my form of self-care. Being a combat veteran, if I didn't, Lord knows. So, Andreas, even though we miss you, thank you for doing the work that you do, bud. Andreas Ruiz with I Believe in Myself Coaching. If you haven't checked him out yet, please do. IBelieveInMyself.org. And then, as usual, we have another amazing show for you today, highlighting the good in our community. First half of the show, we're going to have Miss Amy Bass, definitely a show favorite. Actually, today we kind of have like two show favorites. We got Amy Bass with Portable Practical Education Preparation PEP Inc., and also director of Pima County Community Prevention Coalition, CPC, here to talk with us about all the amazing stuff that they do. She is probably, I want to think, easily one of the busiest people I know in the city. So we'll hear all about that first half of the show. And then the second half of the show, we have one of my, another favorite, and Dr. J with Tucson International Academy, and she'll be filling us in on what's happening out of Tucson International Academy. And I know the last time I spoke, they said they're doing a big push. They're trying to get 100 kids registered this year. So I'm sure we'll be talking about that. And then I think they had a Chinese New Year celebration or something of that nature. Don't want to speak out of class, no pun intended. But we'll be talking about that the second half of the show. But as I mentioned, the first half of the show, we have a favorite, and she's here in studio with us, Miss Amy Bass. Thank you for joining us, Amy.
Thank you, John. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. So, Amy, for those who haven't caught you the past shows, and I think this is probably the second or third time we've had you on the show over the past year, but you are the executive director of Portable Practical Education Preparation Inc. and the director of Pima County Community Prevention Coalition. For those who don't know, I guess kind of it's a quick nutshell of what those two organizations are.
Sure. So Portable Practical Educational Preparation, PEP, is a really extensive organization and does just a tremendous amount of good work. Everything from farm worker programs to, we have a developmentally disabled department, disability services. We do support services for families that need assistance with utilities and rent. We also have 5 charter schools. We have a new one opening up soon, or new building, I should say.
Nice.
And also we have my department, which is the prevention department. So yeah, there's a lot going on at PEP.
That is a lot. And it's interesting. It's kind of like, and I'm sure you know a lot about them, Gap Ministries, where they're just like an organization that just does so much. Like when they come on to try to describe, all the things that they do, they could probably just talk for 30 minutes just about kind of the different parts because they do so much. So it's awesome. The more and more I learn about PEP, how it's just like you guys are one of those organizations where if it wasn't for an organization like you, like PEP, I don't even know where our community would be. I mean, I guess, granted, I'm preaching to the choir to you, so yeah. You know this. And I know this month is Alcohol Awareness Month. What is CPC doing in regards to that?
Okay, so April, you're right, is Alcohol Awareness Month.
Or April, yeah.
Yeah, well, we're trying to get a jump start on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll be ready when it rolls in. But actually, preventing underage drinking is one of our, primary goals in the Community Prevention Coalition, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, Alcohol Awareness Month is the month of April, and we hope to bring people's attention to the issue.
And what's a little background about Alcohol Awareness Month? Because, I mean, and it's interesting as kind of, I want to think, as I went to school, half of the months that exist today, they didn't exist. Like, but, nowadays it certainly seems like there's, a lot of these for good reason that kind of have their own, founding and have their own foundation. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. You're right. And we compete. There's lots of stuff that April is the month of this and the month of that. But in as early as 1987, the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, also known as NCAD, started Alcohol Awareness Month. And basically, they want to get the word out and possibly draw attention to those who suffer from alcohol use disorder.
Interesting. And can you describe like the different forms that this takes?
Sure. So, excuse me. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
Alcohol. If somebody is misusing alcohol or has a predisposition to developing an alcohol use disorder or alcoholism, the terms seem pretty interchangeable. Some people you'll hear say, those of us that work in the field, a lot of times will say alcohol use disorder. And the term that everybody kind of knows is alcoholism. So we have Alcohol Awareness Month to help bring attention to alcohol use disorder or alcohol misuse even, and the disease of alcoholism.
Okay, so it's great that there's a month for this. So say more about the problem of alcohol misuse.
Sure. But first I want to say that the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, they kind of have like 3 creeds, and I've kind of paraphrased them here, but we need to look at this as a public health issue, and alcoholism is a disease. It is the same as any drug addiction. Drug addiction is a disease. I mean, if your brain is an organ, and if you have a malfunctioning in one of your organs, we look at it as a disease. But when we have any kind of malfunction in the brain, which is an organ, there's a lot of stigma attached to that, as you know, with like mental health or substance use disorder or alcohol use disorder. And we need to look at alcoholism as a disease. It is an addiction. It does affect the body. And a lot of symptoms from that. And they also state that the individual who is struggling with alcohol misuse disorder, they can be helped, and they are a valuable human being. Especially if it's somebody you know or somebody related to you, all of a sudden, then you get it. You start to care and understand that it is a disease and how, ridiculously difficult it is to help somebody who is struggling. The third is alcoholism is a public health problem. So if it is a public health problem, meaning that the individuals who struggle with it affect a broader swath of society other than just themselves, then it requires a public responsibility.
This is the Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I'm Pastor John McClain, here without Andreas Ruiz. We don't have that music on us. Wah, wah, wah. This sad news. But the good news is Andreas Ruiz is out there teaching the kids about mental health and definitely making sure that not only are they focusing on getting the good grades so they can get to the next level, but they're taking care of their mental health. So it could be successful in more than one way. So even though he can't be here to be the smooth counterbalance to the show, he's out there still helping the community in one way or the other. So, and I'm guessing he'll be back next week, would be my good guess. So, but we do have Amy Bass, another friend of the show and a friend of me and Andreas, here in studio with us. She's the executive director of Portable Practical Educational Preparation, also known as PEP Inc., and the director of Pima County Community Prevention Coalition, CPC. I should get points for tongue twister in that one, but
Yes.
yeah. Thank you once again, Amy. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
And I'm impressed you got it right.
Yeah,
Not a lot of people do.
Yeah,
So.
I didn't even have practice or anything, but thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So you gave us a lot of good information before we went to the break about alcoholism, alcohol use disorder. And so now let's talk about binge drinking and tell us a little bit about that.
Well, one point I want to make is that if somebody is struggling with alcohol use disorder, so April 1st kicks off the Alcohol Awareness Month. And if people don't know if they have an issue with alcohol, there's a really simple test in honor of Alcohol Awareness Month. You simply quit drinking for 72 hours. If you have trouble doing that, you may have an issue.
Interesting.
A lot of people, they don't stop drinking even when they have negative effects from drinking. It could be relationships, finances, their job, their health, a DUI, car problem, car crash. And then if they don't stop drinking, then you know that they've passed into that stage of having alcohol use disorder. The other way to tell is if a person stops drinking and they have withdrawal symptoms like anxiety, shaking, sweats, or tremors, then definitely they have gotten where they have alcoholism. So binge drinking is...
That's actually really good to know. I mean, interesting, especially that one that, thankfully, I haven't really had issues with drinking in my life, but for people that I know that do drink regularly, to challenge them, like, hey, go 72 hours without drinking and see what's up. And let's have a conversation about it. So that's cool.
Yeah. And one of the biggest responses that's an indicator is people who say, I'm not addicted. I'm not an alcoholic. I just like to drink. And it's sort of like right there. If you have to make excuses, then there might be a problem. But binge drinking is another type of alcoholism. And so people who binge drink, what they do is they only drink periodically. But when they do, they drink to like almost blackout stage. They will drink like a drink every 30 minutes. So typically if you're drinking 4 drinks in 2 hours or 5 drinks in 2 hours, that is too many because your body doesn't have time to process it and the alcohol will build up and you will become more and more intoxicated. So
interesting. And then, so what is the CPC doing to help prevent the youth from beginning to drink and developing alcohol disorders?
Well, we focus on underage drinking prevention. For adults who are struggling, there's Alcoholics Anonymous, that's a self-help. There's NIDA, and also National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. There's Al-Anon if there's somebody in your family that's drinking and you need help. But the CPC, we focus in on underage drinking prevention.
Okay. And then, so how can parents and people sign up for these classes?
So we have, for kids, we have a program called The Buzz, which is peer-to-peer and super fun. And they're, just one session workshops. We also have The Power of Youth, which is a Mothers Against Drunk Driving program. And this educates youth on everything you'd ever want to know about alcohol and how to resist drinking underage. And for the parents, we have a program called The Power of Parents. And this is also a Mothers Against Drunk Driving, a MAD program. And it teaches parents how to talk to their kids because we know that parents are the number one influencer. We think it's other peers, but the research shows us that parents are the primary source of protection for their kids if they're going to start drinking underage. So Power of Parents teaches all of that. And then we also train parents and law enforcement on the social host. And that is an ordinance that's actually an ordinance that the police use if people are providing alcohol to minors, that they can hold them accountable.
Nice. And I guess let's jump back to, like, when you were talking about binge drinking, something that kind of came to mind was, what constitutes one drink?
Oh, okay. So a lot of people don't know this, but literally 12 ounces of beer, right? Or 5 ounces of table wine, right? So you see the difference, 12 ounces of beer because it has less alcohol per ounce, 5 ounces of table wine. And then if you have 80 proof liquor, like hard liquor, 1.5 ounces is one drink. So sometimes you'll see people making drinks and throwing in multiple shots. So they're putting like 4 quote unquote drinks into one glass. And people think, oh, I just had one drink. Now, bartenders are regulated as to how much they can put in a drink. But if you're at a party and people are, hey, have a drink, but they've put 4 shots of 4 different liquors in there, you're really getting 4 drinks at once.
And just kind of the question that comes to mind just around this is like, for a parent that goes to, or parent, or a teen that attends these classes, what can they expect?
They can expect to get new information. They probably will feel a renewed sense of responsibility because there are stories. I mean, they do hear real stories, and sometimes that's hard to hear. But people who have lost people, they share their stories, and their goal is to protect other families. So, we teach them. It's hard because if parents drink socially, which is totally fine and legal, how do they talk to their kids about not drinking? And we really focus on brain development and the legalities of it, because it is not legal for anyone 21 or under to drink. And I will tell you, the human brain does not stop developing. I mean, it's the growth of the brain in teenage development, it goes until 25, right? So if you start pouring alcohol in at age 15, 16, 17 years old, you're slowing down that developmental process. And we all want the best brains we can have, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely, want those for our kids. Like, it's just to see that you guys are putting this program in place to, to combat that, because, I mean, we all know it's a problem, but how many programs, how many things we see that are actually combating that. So again, tell our listening audience how they can, how parents or people can sign up for these classes.
Sure. They can call the CPC at 520-205-4781. They can ask for free classes and resources. They can also email me at abass, so it's ABASS, at ppep.org, ppep.org. And we can also be found on the website at pep.org.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Amy, for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Yeah.
Happy April Alcohol Awareness Month.
Absolutely. Got to get a jump on it.
Yeah, we're going to be ready.
Yeah, this is welcome back. I hope you got like a quick little 3-minute nap in during the break. This is the Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission, highlighting the good in our community. And speaking of highlighting the good in our community, we have our favorite guest here on the show. Andreas isn't here to corroborate that with me, but it is a fact.
It's a fact.
It's a fact.
It's
yes.
a definite.
She is the superintendent of Tucson International Academy. That's just the short version. And and her name is Dr. Jennifer Herrera. And she's you've been on the show definitely more than anybody else has been on the show. So much that there wasn't enough room for you here. You had to have your own show.
Yep, that's how you multiply, right?
That's it. You don't die, you multiply.
I have a lot of talking I can do, I guess, apparently.
You got a lot to say. You got a lot to say, absolutely. Particularly around making college come true.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That is correct.
And speaking of making college come true, update us, I guess, on Tucson International Academy since the last time you've been here, because I feel like a lot has happened. You had the JA event. You had, I believe, you had a Chinese New Year event. I don't want to speak out of class, pun intended on that one. But yeah, fill us in.
Yeah. Well, we started February and March are usually very busy months because they're celebratory. And so in February was Love of Reading Week, and we had Mama Goose and Papa Goose here in town, and they come fully dressed in character, and they do book concerts where they sing and they tell the story with drama, and they even sometimes have backdrops and things. And they also did a play with the kids this year and also celebrated 2 of our students becoming authors. So we're really excited that they published their own books.
There's some special characters. They really are. Like Mama and Papa Goose, they kind of remind me of like Jerry Buss of the Los Angeles Lakers, where that guy was like, he was a doctor. He was a doctor in his own right. He was I think a nuclear engineer, and then he bought the Lakers, and kind of made that a
Just
special thing. That's kind of
took
how they
off,
remind
yeah.
me, where it's just like
Well,
they are
fits.
pretty well accomplished outside of this world, and then they jump into the children's book world and just taking it over. So I'm really excited to see what the future holds in store for them, surprisingly enough, even though it's like they already have a pretty long career doing this. But it's
they have plans. They have big plans. They want to make castles and have events where kids can like work on character, and not that they will help them with the character. They do like team building and things like that for adults and for kids. And then at the end, you're coronated or you're promoted, and all the different ceremonies that they have in royalty. And so they have that in mind. And then meanwhile, they're publishing thousands of books every year, and it's a real fun business and effective. And then after Love of Reading Week with Mama Goose and Papa Goose, we had 2 days for JA Heroes. JA stands for Junior Achievement, and JA Heroes was kind of a pilot program at our school because we are kindergarten through 12th grade, and we value leadership. And so we took our high school, 9th through 12th, and we taught them and reminded them how to present. They do presentations in class, but they had to be taught this specific material. It was all on financial literacy. And so the older ones reviewed that, used materials that were given to them, and became the teachers to kindergarten through 5th grade. So that was a lot of fun. We had
I bet
so
that's fun
much.
to watch.
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
yeah. It was. You had 2 extreme results. One was, oh my God, I love it. I think I want to be a teacher. Or, oh my God, I could never do that. I will. I am going to apologize to every teacher I've ever had.
Yeah.
Because some of the kids, if they were boring, they were like, "You're boring," and the big kids just looked at us and were like, "Well, think of something to make it more fun."
Yeah. The
they
funny
did it.
thing is, I had kind of a mix of that. The time I went and spoke, read the book Dear Lion, the children's book that I made.
I should have mentioned you came on our Love of Reading Week, and you got to read your cool, really well written book about homelessness.
Which
That's
I
awesome.
surprisingly learned that I loved reading to the kids kindergarten through 5th grade. They were just the funnest thing in the whole wide world. But then I saw it was a bit terrifying speaking to the middle school and high school. So that was an awesome
it's different
experience. That is cool that your kids get to learn as well at such a young age.
That's right. Yeah, it's 3 very different kind of approaches really with education, because they're each different in the way they learn. So our high schoolers got the crash course in teaching, and they enjoyed it, and just as you got the crash course because you read the 3 classes, not one.
In the deep end.
But see, you need to come to the light into education.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. My headset went out.
What happened?
And then tell us more about the events you guys are doing, not to get off the subject whatsoever.
Oh, sure. Sidestep. Chinese New Year was really nice. It was beautiful. We had it at the Burger Center, which is over by the Arizona Deaf and Blind School, and it is a beautiful auditorium.
I bet.
And so it comes with lighting and sound, and so we played the music, and the kids danced and sang and did rap. We had rap in Mandarin Chinese, and done by our little students, our little American students.
I bet that was adorable.
It was really neat. And every age, again, we had little kids all the way to big kids, and we had times where the big kids were singing or reciting a poem, and the little kids were dancing. And so they just mixed. They hadn't practiced together like that. But the teacher we have, Miss Soon, she is such a gifted performance director, and it was absolutely beautiful. And it was 2.5 hours, and parents stayed the whole time. I mean, that's, it's good when they stay that late, that long. It was really only supposed to be about an hour and a half. But it gets getting them on and off stage sometimes takes more time than you think. So, but we sure had a good time. And why do we do that? Well, we are an international school, and so one of the ways we are international is by embracing other languages and other cultures, and just experimenting with them. And learning the language is one way to also learn the culture simultaneously, and to dance and to sing and to recite things in their language is powerful. And one of the poems that they recited was a poem written way back in the 300s. So that's really way back. And the poem was what they used to write the story and the movie Mulan. So
Wow.
to have found an ancient document more like that, and it was spoken in more of an ancient dialect, and here it's just American kids that learned that in Mandarin Chinese. So I thought that was really powerful. There was a lot of powerful moments that night, and so we really enjoyed it. And people say that high school, maybe is non-participatory, but that is not the case at our schools. In our school, they're very active and they participate in everything. They sang, they danced, they did everything just like the little kids. And that is in their favor, because why wouldn't they? I mean, they're showing some talent that very few people have.
Hello, welcome back to the Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I am still Pastor John McClain. I still don't have Andreas Ruiz here with me. I'm sorry. You'll get him next week, I promise. But I do have our favorite guest in studio with Dr. J.
Yay!
Yeah. From Tucson International Academy, the superintendent even. And Dr. J has a guest here with her that will actually be interviewing on the Making College Come True radio show here in about 10 minutes. You guys will be able to listen to that. So I'll let you introduce her, and let's get talking to her. Let's pretend like this is the Make It College Come True show started early.
Let's do that. So with me today is a fellow board member from JA, and this is Gail. And Gail, can you tell me your last name again?
Sure, it's Petrillo.
Petrillo, that's a cool name. That rolls.
Yeah, I like
My husband's Italian.
Yeah, nice.
Petrillo. Ooh, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I bet you've eaten well.
I
That's just
am a
foodie. Yes, and she's here because we did meet up on the board of JA, and JA is a service to it's international, actually, and the group I'm a part of, which we are both on the board for, is Southern Arizona's Junior Achievement. And the goal that we've set is to participate with the other JA chapters more up north to have every single student in Arizona be served by one of the financial literacy programs that JA has.
Nice.
And as an educator myself, 34 years? Yeah, 34 years.
Yeah.
I'm not old though.
No, I
And
know.
I
So
got
that
my
means you've been
degree when I was
educated
10.
since you were 10. Yeah,
that's right.
exactly.
And so, anyway, that has been such a cool thing that we've been able to do, is to connect with them as, having the 4 schools. So our schools are, for the first year, just now getting involved, and I always heard about it. We always tried to connect. Things always came up, and I tell you, I guess timing can be perfect, because this year we have someone who can actually oversee all of those events, Brian Beebe, which you've also met.
Brian
And
Beebe,
he-
Mr. Beebe.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And he is going to continue to expose the kids to all the programs and give them that well-rounded opportunity. So I'm really excited
Nice.
about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so Gail here, she has her own business, as you said. It is called First Impressions.
Okay.
And how many times do we care kind of about how we're going to be perceived? We care a lot.
Yeah.
And that probably goes as far as social media as well as in person. And you still need both of those. Not everything has gone to social media. So it's very important that we're able to present ourselves in the right light. And so that's what she does. So welcome, Gail.
Thank you
That's
so much.
awesome.
So you're absolutely right. We only get one opportunity to make that all-important first impression.
Yes.
And that is whether it's looking at a person's website, or in our virtual meetings in the coming out of COVID world, or in-person presentation, right? It's all about how you make that first impression, because it's lasting. That's what people remember. That's what will bring people back to you or not.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, and it never goes out of style.
Out of style, never.
We will constantly need that. And also, I think it comes into identity, doesn't it? How
It
do you see
does.
yourself?
Yeah.
So it gets into your mind space, into mindset, and into who do you think you are, and who do you believe you are, and what good can you bring to the table, and then how do you present that? So I can't wait to get to talk to you even more about that. But you talk about, for the common good. This is for the common good. This is a great topic to consider. Are you being your best? Are you able to present the best you every place that you're showing up? And we're showing up a lot of places we may not have even known. Remember, I didn't even know we were videotaping this, and I would come with my hair and my, and then you're like, oh, we're videotaping. I'm like, great, you know. So that's one of those things where even I'm getting to the age where you don't care as much what people think, but you kind of do. But you want to be respectful, and so to be respectful, you want to start, cleaning it up a little. So that's been the name of my game with learning about that, even all through life. Doesn't matter what age you are, and it isn't just to get a job, and it isn't just to attract a mate, and it isn't just to get. It's really a part of who you are. So, yeah.
Well, it is. It makes a statement about who you are, and I do a lot of career coaching, and you never know who is going to be your next boss. And so it could be at the grocery store, in the library, right here on the set. You just don't know who is going to be in your room or who is in those people's rooms. And so it's very much being aware of what you say and how you say it and how you present in your appearance as well. Right? So it's all of that. And it's whether you're talking about resumes or being prepared in interviews, or negotiating strategies, networking skills, and your wardrobe.
It all matters.
It all matters.
So let's just say you were working with one of the classes over at Tucson International Academy. What would one of those workshop, or what would one of those presentations or activities look like to help, let's say, a high school student, a high school classroom, be prepared for that next step?
Yeah, so really great question. So, of course, as a junior and a senior in high school, you're maybe looking to interview colleges, right? You're going to tour the college, you're going to interview for the college. And so it is about your presentation. So when you're at the school and you're touring it, it's, you don't want to show up with torn jeans and a ratty looking t-shirt. You don't need to be in a suit, but you need to show them that you're professional and that you're there seriously. And that's how you talk and you present yourself. And so
Side note real quick. If I did go to class in a suit, would people look at me weird?
Probably.
Yeah,
probably. Because,
Yeah.
that brings up an interesting point, because it really is all about knowing your audience. So if I'm going to walk into a class of 10th or 11th graders, I'm not going to show up in a suit, right? I'm going to show up in a nice dress pair of slacks, a nice sweater, or maybe a jacket. Where if I'm showing up in a lawyer's office to do a presentation on etiquette, which I also teach as an aside, I'm going to show up in my 2 or 3 piece suit, and I'm going to look and speak a little differently to that audience than in 11th or 12th graders. And so what I would work with the kids in school would be creating their resume. What is a resume? What should it look like? And a lot of times the feedback I get is, I've never done anything. What am I going to put on my resume? Well, I help kids get past that point by saying, have you mowed your neighbor's lawn? Do you take out the trash? Do you babysit the next door's neighbor puppy? Do you babysit your siblings? There's responsibility there. There's being on time. That shows caring. That shows respect. That shows independence. So there's all kinds of ways that coming at a resume that a kid can do. It's different than what an adult's resume would look like, but it still shows that, plus the activities that they've been. Are they in sports? Are they a cheerleader? Are they in a chess group? What are your likes and strengths? Because schools look at that, as would a prospective employer. Everybody doesn't go to college. College isn't for everybody. It's great for those that can and want to pursue it. But some kids coming out of school need to get into plumbing, air conditioning, the things that we are really lacking and we need. And so their first entree out of high school maybe is the first interview with that kind of organization. So again, they need to be able to prove in writing that they can communicate both verbally and on paper.
Nice.
That's right. That makes a big difference. And it's hard to anticipate everything by yourself. I mean, when I was in high school, I didn't have anybody ever talk about a resume. When I was in college and I was in my last year, my senior year, I hired somebody to come and to write my first resume because honestly, I didn't have time. I was trying to finish my degree and I did have a job offer. They just said, give us your resume and give us, and I wanted to make sure I got the job. So I thought, oh, I don't want to mess that up.
What was the going rate for somebody to help write your resume?
Back then, I think it was about $100.
$100. Okay.
Which was a little steep, but I mean, for me, it was perfect. And she gave me 50 copies of it already on this fancy paper, you know. It was nice. And then she gave me the electronic version too. And I was able to have it. And so there are those services. Now, as I got older and I did other jobs, other schools that I worked for, and you needed that resume, I updated it and I added a lot more personality to it because like she said, the activities and the interests, you can put all kinds of things in there that share however much you want to share about yourself. And for schools, we're looking to see what kind of extracurricular interests you have because maybe you can run the chess club, or maybe you can run the dance team, or maybe you can be a basketball coach. So all of those things are important.
Right. And we all want to be around people that are well-rounded, right? And so maybe everyone isn't a leader and wants to run the chess club, but it shows their ability to participate in different kinds of activities. And it also, then if they become a member of that chess team, they might work on becoming the leader ultimately. So we want to work on building those leadership skills as well as those interpersonal actions.
That makes sense. Yeah, and I think you have to start somewhere. So you have to start first with the experience, and then after that, you perfect some aspect of it, and then as you get good, and it also helps everyone, adults and kids, grow in confidence.
Absolutely.
We really need confidence. You know, confidence is something that I have never seen lacking, and I'm going to blame social media for that. Just saying. We can talk about that on my show. So, because they're looking for that like, so they aren't even themselves, you know. And that's a shame because each person is unique. Each person has a place in life, and it's you want to be your unique individual self. You know, not obnoxiously, graciously. You know, to graciously be that. So, and then if you couple that with some good character, you're going to be a welcomed person everywhere you go.
That's true. And it goes to you're sitting here and you're smiling. I like to say, share those smiles because they're the good kind of contagious.